This is Sam McKeef, and I'm here to explain how to determine a property's cap rate. Number one, add all of the monthly rent that the building produces, whether it's one unit or multiple units. Number two, add all of that rent up and multiply it by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. And number three, you need to determine the property's expenses. This one is extremely important. First expense is vacancy. Typically, vacancies range for about 3 to 5%, depending on the building, the size of the building, the location, and the condition. Number two, property taxes. What are the annual property taxes the building has? And number three, homeowners insurance. Next, we're going to discuss condo fees and HOA fees, if the property has an association or it doesn't. Trash fees. In the city of Philadelphia, trash fees are typically around $500 for several multifamily and commercial buildings. Fire alarm services. Also in the city of Philadelphia, we see with 3 units or more, the city requires fire alarm. Electric and common area electric. This one is dependent on the building. Oftentimes with multifamily buildings, we'll see a common area and there's an electric bill there typically. Gas, oftentimes tenants pay for gas, but in the certain situations they don't. Is there a releasing fee? Typically, if there is, that's going to cost about 1 month's rent. Next, we have a property management fee. Property management is dependent on the size of the building as well and the landlord. But typically, if you are going to get property management services, they're going to be about 5 to 10%. And lastly, we have lawn care and snow removal. Lawn care and snow removal are all dependent on the building and the size of the building and the landlord. But typically, that's something that's taken care of by the landlord. We also have maintenance and repairs. This one's extremely important. One rule of thumb, a general rule of thumb that I like to use is sometimes 1% of the property's value is a good estimation of what kind of repairs on an annual basis you might have, but that's also very dependent. And then water and sewer, this is about $25 to $75 per unit or per household. This depends on the amount of occupants in the building and also, again, the size of the building. Lastly, we have gross annual income minus expenses. And this is what brings us to our NOI. The NOI is the net operating income. We then take the NOI and divide it by the asking price of the building, which brings us our cap rate. Here we have an example of a 3-unit building. The asking price was $336,000. The total gross monthly rent was about $3,300, and the annual rent was $39,600. So now we get to our expenses. Our taxes are about $4,434 for the year. Our insurance was $1,658. Water and sewer was about $900. Fire alarm services, because this was 3 units, was $2,000. Repairs and maintenance was about $3,000. And then we had our common electric, because this is a 3-unit building. There's a common area that was about $400 for the year. And then lastly, we had a vacancy of about 5%, give or take. That was $1,980. The total comes to $14,372 for the year. So we subtract our gross annual rents from our expenses for the year. That leaves us with our net operating income, which is $25,228. We then take our net operating income, divide it by the asking price, which in this case it was $336,000, and we get our cap rate, which was 7.5%. Again, this is Sam McKeef. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more content.